Yay! Melissa Auf Der Maur. Welcome. The last time I talked to you was 2005.
It is 21 years ago. Amazing. 2 decades have passed, and what happened?
We are 2026. Nardwuar versus
Melissa
Auf
Der
Maur. Coming up right after this.
Nardwuar. 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 Nardwuar.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm a redhead Canadian Montreal bass player named Melissa Auf Der Maur.
So here we are in 1996, and what are we doing? Who are you? Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Patty Schimmel, and I'm the bird horse.
Melissa Auf Der Maur, the Canadian.
Oh, yes.
So what are you guys doing here, you whole members? What are you doing in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, first of all? And second of all, doing it at the Warped Tour? Because I think at this time you're Lollapalooza. What is going on?
We're here to see some bands here at the Warped Tour and explore Vancouver. We're Southern California babes.
The clip was you at the Warped Tour on July 10th, 1996 with Patty, and you're in Vancouver to play a Railway Club gig.
Oh, that is so cool. I forgot that we saw each other on that trip. So we had a side project. The Rhythm Section Sisters from Hole had a side project because we got bored waiting for Courtney, who was becoming a Hollywood actress, called Constant Comment. We had a B-side. We had a 7-inch on Sympathy for the Record Industry with Red Ants, which were, do you remember them? Girls from, I guess, like Southern California. But so we had a side project called Constant Comment, and we did a minuscule Northwestern tour, Seattle, Portland, Vancouver at the Railway Club. And it was just bass, drums, and samples, very ahead of our time. Anti-rock.
And I saw you at the Warped Tour where you were checking out Civ and Rocket from the Crypt.
Oh, always loved Rocket from the Crypt. Okay, that's why I would have been at the Warped Tour, because that seemed a little out of whack of some of my musical taste, but I loved Rocket from the Crypt, yes.
But you were up in Vancouver playing at the Railway Club with your third member, Radio Shack, on cassette.
You remembered that. I love that you remember. Yes, I had, right. So I had a sampler, which was literally a DAT cassette player called Radio Shack. That was our third band member. Drums, bass, and cassette. Cool band concept in 1996, I should say. Okay.
Now, I first met you on May the 5th, 1994 at Cafe Campus in Montreal.
So that is cool because that is before I was in Hole. I was in a band called Tinker, and we were scheduled to play with the Evaporators.
It was Cub, Tinker, and the Evaporators. But the Evaporators, we missed our show because it was an early show. So you came out to explain to the Evaporators, who are the Evaporators? This is not how it works in Montreal. You're off the bill.
No way. Was I polite about it?
Very polite. But could you explain to people, it's a bit different from Montreal. We were late. We did an interview with Brent Bambury from the CBC at that time, and we arrived late at the club, but the show must go on.
Wow.
Could you explain the early show, Montreal?
Early show, that's weird because Montreal is a late night place, way later than other places. So you must have been playing at like 5 p.m. What was happening? You were the first of 3 acts?
Yeah, we were opening for Tinker.
That's cute. You were my opening band.
And you were opening for Cub.
Yes. Okay, cool. And so I had to apologize and say, sorry, you missed your slot.
What do you remember about that night? Do you remember anything about playing with Cub at that era?
And you were the only thing I really remember from that, because that's why you, of course, made a huge impression. And I wasn't yet, just around the bend, I would have been in Hole when we first met for real as this interviewer that you are, not the person from the Evaporators. So you just left an impression, and I remember you over anything else that happened that night, even my own set, actually.
Well, Melissa, I want you to remember Cub, and I have a gift for you. The 30th anniversary issue of Cub's Come Out, Come Out.
So 30 years would make it 1996.
1995. It came out last year.
Okay. Great. Thank you so
An
much.
all-girl band from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada,
Yes.
on Eco Blue vinyl. Check out the vinyl
Eco.
that this is released on.
Very BC to be Eco Blue. Okay, amazing. Thank you for Canadian relics. Thank
So
you.
Cub, the Evaporators, and Tinker reunited.
I love it. Yes, this is our and I didn't arrive late, and you didn't miss the show.
Melissa, Montreal. Also, it makes me think of, and this is a very important band, the Gruesomes.
This is major. I have these in my very own record collection, treasured, and I have the 7-inch. I have both albums, Tyrant of Teen Trash, and this was their follow-up. No, this is Tyrants. Okay, so then I have the other Gruesome Media, which is their next one, and I have a 7-inch of their big hit.
My Broken Heart.
Yes.
No, it's not on the 7-inch, but you love that song, don't you? The
I
Glue
love
song.
them
Could you explain? From the Flintstones.
Yes. So inspired by the Flintstones, coolest Montreal band ever, I might say. Yes, there they are. And that was my early teen induction into supporting local underground music. So when I was 13, 14, I was at these shows enthralled with the power of what I discovered to be garage rock, and I am forever a fan of the Gruesomes, and they are mentioned in my memoir, my 90s rock memoir, as formative years inspiration.
And you knew Eric Davis. Davis.
Of course, Eric Davis, and his cool brother was the
John Davis.
So they were a brother rhythm section, which is super cool.
Grunge Manor.
Grunge Estates. It was called Grunge Estates, and we all lived in, it was when I lived in Montreal, and I was a college student and a cassette DJ and a ticket girl. I lived in a place coined the Grunge Estates, yes, which was just stacks of people like me living on top of each other.
Across from the Biff Tech.
Exactly. The Biff Tech was the iconic dive bar that I started as a cassette DJ at the age of 17.
How did you discover the Gruesomes? Was it through CKUT?
It must have been college radio, yeah, but also I went to a cool, really rough and tumble horseback riding camp where I, do not try this at home, did LSD for the first time at 13. It's all in the book, so I'm not spoiling anything, but the truth is I had my mind expanded by a couple of older teenage girls and the beautiful blonde Gabrielle that I did hallucinogenics with for the first time. Her boyfriend was Bobby Beaton. And it was through the beautiful girl who dressed like a Maudette telling us, and me and my other young, we were like 12, 13, 14, started following them because we met the beautiful girlfriend of the singer.
At horseback camp.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes, exactly.
Now, they were on OG Records, and I want to ask you, there are so many bands on OG. Remember, It Came from Canada, the Terminal Sunglasses, Deja Voodoo.
I
What can you say about that
I
scene?
definitely lost my copy of this. But yeah, well, I mean, the funny thing is I was hijacked by a giant American band in 1994, and it's as if half of my memory was erased and I never came back. Like the problem, I'd see you when I came back with the American bands over the course of the decade, but I ended up leaving the Montreal, being ejected from the Montreal music scene. And in some ways, I feel like I am still now reconnecting with everything because I don't know if you heard, but in the mid-90s, the American grunge music scene was so giant, dramatic, death, drugs, fame, power, confusion. It kind of obliterated my life before. Like it took a lot out of me to remember anything before the Cinderella moment where the beer bottle that changed my life, glass slipper, and then I'm whole. So this is good memories. Thank you. Because I kind of left Canada and I only come back with my heart and my spirit all the time.
Phil Sarakis. He wore bones.
How do you know about Phil, the gravedigger who dug my father's grave, who I later do a duet with Glenn Danzig, where I cast Glenn Danzig as Phil, the gravedigger? How do you know about Phil?
You are Melissa. We have to know.
That's cool digging. That's cool grave digging.
Boom. But can you explain? That's a lot to think about. Glenn Danzig?
Casted as the gravedigger that actually dug my father's grave, who was a very cool goth punk. I'd see him in the hallways in college, and he was part of this pack of, I guess they would call them like steampunky now, but they were so cool looking. He had like like facial hair that was like devil horns coming out of his chin, and I think up here and here, like devil horns everywhere, bones around his neck that he explained that he digs graves for a living and would find bones and make necklaces out of it. And very dangerous and attractive at the same time. So that was sort of my opening to like the sort of more gothic demonic things. I also fell in love with Danzig's solo records around that time, and I love Sam Hain. So in my mind, Phil the Gravedigger was sort of the same as all of that. And fast forward to I'm making a solo record 30 years later. In 2010, it came out. So right before I write a song in my dream, which I don't know if you know this about me, Nardwuar, but I do like pray to the gods of music, and I have big dreams come true. Like, you know, Billy Corgan was my spiritual fucking cowboy that discovered me and plucked me out of obscurity because his band inspired me to play bass. So I have a tendency to have a fantasy life about music that then comes to life and comes to be. And Glenn Danzig had been, in a weird way, a shy redhead. He was my mentor inside, my spiritual, like, I will roar with rock music one day, even though I'm so shy I can't even speak in public. And fast forward to, I'm going to write a duet for me and Glenn. And my father had died, you know, so my father had a very, it's all in my 90s rock memoir, but my father's death while I was in Hull really changed my life, obviously, for many, many reasons. But when I found out that Phil, the goth guy from college, was the one who dug the hole for my father's body, I got this really romantic concept in my head of, I'm going to write a song for me and Glenn Danzig. And everyone's like, he doesn't do duets. He doesn't even have a manager. I didn't even have a manager. And I wrote a letter to his house with a demo where I sing him, listen, sweet little girl, your father's gone below. So I write this duet, very Glenn Danzig solo record inspired. Me as him and me, write a letter, dear Danzig, you have been one of my greatest sources of inspiration. It would be a dream to do a duet. I've written this about you. It's a true story. I knew where he lived because everybody knew where he lived. You, of course, know everything. So you would know where he lived in Las Vegas.
I knew because no one mentioned him where he lived, and there was like stones outside his house, etc.
Exactly. So he lived in a very gothic, haunted-looking house in the neighborhood I lived in LA when I was in Hull. So I would drive by, slow down, and hope for a glimpse. But because I knew where he lived, I wrote a letter to his house. You probably get letters all the time, but I'm Melissa. I used to be in Hull. I'm not a crazy person. I wrote the song. Here's the CD demo. One day, a couple weeks later, my Nokia phone rings, and it's 213-666 something. Hello? Melissa, it's Glenn. Oh my God, you got my package? It's a good song. Oh, it would be an honor to record it with you. This girl's dream came true, and I got the greatest honor of doing the single only duet that I know of him ever doing, and he plays an honorable gravedigger that I kiss in the rain at my father's grave.
But that's pretty rare, isn't it? Nobody really gets him to like solo like that, do they?
I have no idea how it happened. I think the actual...
But it is rare, isn't it? Like, that's very rare.
Really rare. And I don't think anybody collaborates with Glenn in that way. And about a year or two later, after the record came out, and I sent him copies, and I thanked him. I went to see him play, because Danzig was having reunion tours, like he goes on and off of tour. And I remember the manager said, oh, Glenn would love to say hi to you after the show. And I go backstage, and he's in a big armchair receiving his guests, very, very packed in New York City show. And I remember leaning on the floor, like at his knees, and saying, I just want to thank you one more time for, making my dream come true. And he said, if you're happy, I'm happy. To have a wild, sort of semi-demonic, power god to want me to be happy means that I am blessed by the angels of all shades.
But you had a great approach to get the message to him, didn't you?
Well, I think you know my history as well as anyone else, but a big part of me being on my rock memoir tour right now of my 90s memoir is that if my story was a fairy tale, the moral of the story is be polite, write fan letters, tell people you love them, and just put yourself out there and work your ass off. And I've done all that, and all of my rock dreams have come true.
Well, Melissa, I have a gift for you from Eric and the Gruesomes, the new Gruesome 7-inch. The new Gruesome 7-inch.
Okay, they're back. They're having a reunion?
No, they've never gone away, basically. Now, Eric isn't in a band, it's John Jedno, but still, look, it's got a comic book as well. Like, the Gruesomes are still kicking.
That is the coolest. Oh my God, they're the coolest. I love them. I would love to see them all one day. I've never...
They're still in Montreal, Quebec. The Gruesomes, really important, aren't they?
Really important garage band. The other ones that I loved were the Swedish The Creeps. Do you know them? Yeah. So, I mean, that was a very formative time. Like, this era of underground rock really counterculture, underground inspired, I think, a lot of like the grunge world that people don't really realize, actually.
That's Nardwuar the Human Serviette with
Melissa.
Auf
Der
Maur. And Melissa, I have another gift for you. Right here, your student ID.
Oh, incredible. This is crazy. So this is where I met Phil the Gravedigger. This is a magnet. Who has a fridge magnet of my ID?
You do now.
This is a gift for me?
Yes.
Oh, that is so cool. Look at me. Oh my God, existential crisis happening right there. Wow, this is cool. Thank you.
That's the Dawson College ID.
Yes, it's when
Can you explain a bit about that era?
Okay, so I would have been fresh out of high school. In Quebec, you graduate in grade 11, so I would have barely been 18, and I was going to a free, what they call cégep in Quebec, which is a pre-college so that you don't go waste your money on fancy university until you've experimented. And I was studying photography there, and they made me take a photo of a fridge, so I quit, and I transferred into the...
Wait a second, they made you take a photo of a fridge?
Because they were treating photography as a commercial art form. I'm like, I'm here to be an artist. I'm not going to take a picture of a fridge.
And now you have a fridge magnet.
That is ridiculous. That is amazing. Yeah. So now I'm
to show your daughter.
Artist. I'm an artist, and I have a fridge magnet of.
Sorry, interrupted the fridge story.
Oh, and then I transferred into the creative art department of Dawson College, which is where I started seeing all these punk, goth, doom rocker types that started, excited. I mean, I'd already discovered the Gruesomes, but I was searching for my people, and that's when I I got a job at the Biff Tech. I got a job as a ticket girl at Fufun Electrique. So this is girl seeking her music people. And I found them, and within 4 years, I was in Hull. It was a very quick turnaround for me. Yeah.
Now, you're holding your Dawson College ID, a photo, but you're into photos. Did you really take a photo of everybody in your school? And do you still have those negatives?
I do. I have the negatives that I've scanned because, my companion to my 90s rock memoir is my 90s rock photographs book that's coming out in September and is going to be a major museum exhibit in Toronto at the Art Gallery of Ontario. I have, while writing my memoir, scanned all 15,000 photographs from the 90s. So I am definitely an archivist pack rat. And I have scanned everything. I bet you those high school yearbook photos, because our high school and alternative high school was more of a fanzine yearbook. And I was the in-house photographer who I had to take the portrait because we didn't have those like stiff school portraits. Like I photographed a portrait of every student. And I have those yearbooks, and I don't think I've prioritized scanning those, but I have those negatives. I have everything I've ever had, just like you.
And Melissa Auf Der Maur, I want to ask you about that Niagara Falls review from 1985.
This is cool. I don't have this.
Could you please read what's happening here?
The summit card. Melissa Auf Der Maur displays a birthday card signed by Brian Mulrooney and Ronald Reagan for her 13th birthday, which was on St. Patrick's Day. Melissa's father, a defeated conservative politician candidate, made the request in advance, and Mulrooney and Reagan signed the card in the limo, leaving the airport immediately following the president's arrival on Sunday. And it was a St. Patrick's Day summit, which began the free trade, the epic 80s free trade thing. And my father, who's like basically a trickster, made my birthday card be the first agreement between America and Canada, which really is why I'm clearly a dual citizen. My mother's American. I have both passports, and I love and hate sides of every part of my duality of the two countries, but this is a joke. I mean, it is hilarious. I have a Ronald Reagan birthday card, and it's actually framed in my house because when my father died, he had it framed in his office, and now it's in my hallway of my house, and my friends are still confused. Like, why do you have a Ronald Reagan birthday card?
And 16 people complained to the Gazette about this.
No way. I did not know that. What are they complaining about?
Well, you getting the card, and he was a Gazette employee.
meaning it was an inside job. Isn't everything?
Yeah.
Isn't everything? Look how the world is run. This is cool.
But that's totally amazing. Like Ronald Reagan and Mulrooney, a birthday card. And what was the reaction?
Well, this is me being told to pose with the both. Like, I'm so mortified. I look pretty genuinely cute, and I'm like so scared. I was on the cover of the newspaper. I was so embarrassed because my father said, I asked Melissa what she wanted for her birthday, and she said a birthday card from the President of the United States. I did not say that. He used that as, he was a storyteller, a journalist, a columnist. He thought it would make a cool, funny story. It made me so embarrassed that I had to pose with a birthday card of a president and a prime minister that I wanted nothing to do with. So this is me being part of a public political charade, actually.
And he was totally cool, too. Like, at his actual wake, he had Gangsta Politics play as Stomp Records recordings.
My father was the coolest. In my book, he features prominently, and I always explain when people say, how did a young girl from Montreal join a band of wild rock people and survive? And I said, my father was as wild as any single rock star I ever played with. He walked into a room and he commanded respect, but he was a raconteur, boulevardier, button pusher. He was a radical politician, a radical public persona in Montreal. He devoted himself to Montreal, but he also was an eccentric. And what was so cool, my mother was into her generation's rock music. As a rock disc jockey, she loved the normal things you love from that generation. She loved the Stones and Cohen and the Beatles, and Frank Zappa was her favorite, actually. My father believed that no good music was made after 1920-ish. Jazz was just about the exception, but he was an opera classical music guy. And as my father was dying, because he was diagnosed with cancer, he designed his funeral with me to execute it as his only child and his only executor of his estate. And he asked for there to be a Dixieland band procession from St. Patrick's Church to Crescent Street bar strip that he pretty much was the founder of, like the nightlife of downtown Montreal. And he had strolled into a bar a year or two earlier and discovered Gangster Politics, a ska band, because ska is huge in Montreal. And he told me he wanted that band to play at his funeral. He curated that. He booked that band for his death party. Pretty cool guy.
Amazing.
I know.
The next time I saw you was November the 15th, Oh, sorry, you were going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, how cool is that a ska band plays my father's funeral and then Glenn Danzig plays his gravedigger. Coolest ever. Yes.
The next time I saw you, Melissa, was November the 15th, 1994, when I was interviewing Courtney Love, and she said, oh, there is Melissa the Canadian.
There's Melissa the Canadian.
Melissa Auf Der Maur. Melissa,
Auf
Courtney, look at this extensive research I've done. Look at that. What do we have there?
Oh my God.
Shine.
What
It's
is
written about
that?
Melissa.
Melissa Auf Der Maur's name and phone number written in there.
That's really funny.
Squirrel Boy from Ottawa, Melissa Auf Der Maur.
Who?
Squirrel Boy, the guy from Ottawa?
Well, I know lots of guys from Ottawa, but what are you talking about?
The Doughboy song Shine was written about you.
See, that's because she's a scenester like me and Patty, where we all have songs written about us.
Yes, I remember that very clearly. It was backstage here. I had only been in the band for 2 months. You and I had that blip of the Evaporators Tinker connection the year earlier, but she knew from the moment I joined her band, I was a proud Canadian, Canadian heritage, Canadian flags everywhere. I'm not American, I'm Canadian. So when you came to interview her, she was sure to bring me into the fold, yes.
And then I asked you, did the Doughboys write their song Shine about you? You laughed, but never answered.
Wait, and how do you know that? And the answer is yes, but how do you actually know that?
Well, you're Melissa Auf Der Maur. We have to know.
And you know everything, correct.
But could you answer that now, all these years later, or would you prefer not to?
I am, yes, the Doughboys' first big hit was written with me as Muse. And I remember when the music video came out, they had casted some redhead girl from St. Catharines, Ontario as the girl in the video, because it was their big kind of breakout album. And I remember being insulted, like, that's not me. It could, I mean, it's an interesting, yeah, I don't know. Somehow I was a muse of the Doughboys. How cool.
Also, I had Squirrel Boy's notebook, and Squirrel Boy is a friend of the band Furnace Face, who are friends of the Gruesomes. And I had your phone number in his journals that he had given me.
That is interesting. And I'm now actually remembering him. Yes.
So that's why I thought I brought that. And eventually, I guess we didn't really discuss that too much, but that was my first introduction to you, Melissa, Shine and Squirrel Boy.
Weird. Okay, good. Anyway, we go back. You and I know we have the same roots.
Were you ever yelled at by Courtney Love for taking photos? Because there were so many photos, like photos were on a rider. Photos were on a rider, right?
I mean, a roll of film. When I discovered you could be on a rock tour and you could ask for things to be at the venue, Patty Schemmel, the drummer, got gym socks, and I ordered a roll of film so I could take a roll every day because I was a thrifty art student that knew that film was precious. And so no one ever got mad at me. In fact, now that my photo book is coming out and my memoir, I talk a lot about taking a photo of every crowd we ever played, every backstage. Both Billy and Courtney in the past year or so mentioned, like, I don't think I noticed you were taking pictures. I'm like, yeah, you were busy. I was the fly on the wall bass player taking pictures of everything.
But how about when you were playing? Did you ever reach behind to an amp?
Totally. I have so many shots of me from behind because I would set a timer. I would do the thing that now everyone calls selfies, but I had gone to art school for self-portraiture. So I would took pictures of everything all the time. Wait till the museum exhibit comes out, my photo book comes out. You'll see.
The next time I saw you was on July 5th, 1995 at Lollapalooza, and you were talking about your mom DJing.
Was your mom one of the first women DJs?
Yes.
What's the story on that? Okay, bye, Patty.
Doot. She's one of the coolest women. She's from the States, and she went up to Canada to be liberated, and she was...
You were born in New York, right?
No, I was born in Montreal, but she's from Boston. I'm moving to New York.
You have a green card?
My mom's American. She's Bostonian, and she said, I'm not going to have my kid in the States. It will corrupt her brain and soul, etc. So she moved to Montreal, and she was working the music business, interviewing people, and she was like the first female disc jockey in Montreal.
What year is this, like early 60s?
Yeah, late 60s, and then I was born, and then she moved me on to Africa for a couple of years, all alone, backpack with me up the Kilimanjaro with her. It was great.
Melissa,
will not come out.
Melissa has something to ask you, Drew Barrymore.
It's something about the waters and the stars and the tits. Melly.
Drew Barrymore, Melissa Auf Der Maur, backstage, Lollapalooza, embracing.
I love this woman so much. We are both Pisces. We're bonded at the hips, breasts, and C.
Is she the first Canadian friend you ever had?
Actually, this close, yes, absolutely.
Oh, cool. So I had told you back then, but I remember my highlight of that was that you were interviewing us and then Drew Barrymore walked by and you said, there's Drew Barrymore. And then we brought her and then me and Drew have this cosmic weird connection on your camera of talking about being Pisces and dreamers and tripped out hippie girls.
Yeah, you asked Drew Barrymore about water, stars, and...
Incredible. Yes. I remember we were cosmically connected around all things magical and sensual.
And Pisces. You mentioned Pisces.
We were both Pisces, yes.
And then Drew ended up flashing for the camera.
Okay. I never did that ever in my entire life, just so you know.
And then 2 weeks later, she was on Letterman doing the same thing.
Oh, that was her thing at the time. Hippie, free love. Okay. Yes.
And actually, I have another gift for you right here. And actually, Hugh, if you could come forward here. Hugh, could you explain what's going on if you could pull that out?
Yeah, so that is July 5th, 1995, Lollapalooza, and I got in as a photographer. So I was in the photography pit beforehand and took a series of photos of Hole.
This is a gorgeous photo. I'm going to tell you, want to know what I love most about this, other than it's black and white and high contrast, lovely. I have a mirror ball above my head, which I'm going to pretend is the moon and the cosmos, and I have a star, and you frame it, and I have this Hawaii flower band across on my vintage Hawaii t-shirt. This is and I have a Botticelli Venus necklace. This is very magical, and what got me through a lot of the dark times of the 90s. I was never a drug addict, but I was surrounded by a lot of addiction and a lot of darkness and a lot of hate that was thrown at our band. And I had replaced the tragic death of Kristen Pfaff, and Kurt had just died before her. And I lived in a realm of fantasy where protective things like Botticelli, and believed that dreams and stars would protect me from darkness, which I believe is why I've had a blessed life. But I like that this kind of presents the cosmos that I had faith in. So I love this photo, and thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Can you tell that's from Vancouver? When you look at a photo, can you tell, oh, this is a certain city?
Sometimes I can tell by the outfit, but this means that I did not myself take picture of that day on stage, whereas often from my own archive, I know exactly what I was wearing in what city, but it clearly shows that I did not take a picture in Vancouver that day, and you did. Thank you. I love it. I'll add it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, and the other thing that I'm wearing, armor, bicycle chains as bracelets. I wore these huge cuffs of bicycle chains around my wrist to show that I was tough. But I'm both tough and not. I love it. Thank you.
And I wanted to see you on July 4th, 1999.
I remember this clearly because you at this point had become like the greatest thing in Vancouver. Every time we go to Vancouver, the national treasure, which is Nardwuar, the human serviette, would be at our show. And I hadn't seen you since probably, I guess the Warped Tour and the Lollapalooza before that. And I arrive in Vancouver. I'm like, when is Nardwuar coming? And we heard you were in the hospital.
Yes, I was in the hospital with a brain hemorrhage, but you sent me a card.
You have it! Oh my goodness. And Quiet Riot. Mental health. This was the idea of like, get well soon. This is my card for you, mental health. Oh, and I'm saying I love you, Nardwuar, in this picture. I am clearly saying I love you. Polaroids are instant. So I sent it to you. Nard, thinking of you, had a quiet riot with Twisted Sister without you, as in me and Courtney are on tour. Get well soon, champion Melissa Auf Der M. You have mental health, meaning you're invincible and you're here with me today. 27 years later. This is cool.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words, because that helped inspire me, because it was sort of like a scary situation. So getting cards really helped me through that. And that was delivered by Laura, I think, from Virgin Mary's.
Yes, Laura, who I just had breakfast with this morning. And I said, remember when we were here and Nardwuar was sick? And I said, what did I send him? Did I send him flowers? And we didn't remember this detail. We just knew that we sent something, a get well soon card, and there it is. I'm going to have to take a photo of this because this is cool.
And Melissa, in Hole, you're playing bass. Courtney is wearing some amazing outfits. Did she ever destroy any outfits? And then you got the outfits, or were you upset that she destroyed any outfits on stage? Because she had some amazing clothes.
What's cool about Courtney and I, which made us the perfect virgin horror complex walking on stage, is the good girl, bad girl had very different taste in clothes. The only thing
Except the one you almost bought.
Yes, only vintage dresses were the only place where we intersected, where she at that point, when I was in her band, was exploring more like designer things, which to me seems so ridiculous. Why would you ever want like a fancy, expensive designer thing? And most of her clothes were destroyed by stage diving. The crowd surfing, she'd come up naked, probably proud to show that she had sacrificed herself and her fancy slip. But no, I do have a couple of vintage dresses she would sort of throw off to my side to keep.
So, Melissa, the book, Even the Good Girls.
Even the Good Girls Will Cry.
In your book, though, I was curious, how much did the fanzines help? Like fanzines for your friends? And how come they aren't in the book?
Well, it's so interesting that you ask about that. Is this morning, because I'm in Vancouver, my friend Laura, who was one of the friends that when I joined Hole, my way to stay sane is I would write these complex packages to friends back home with photos and tear sheets and like trinkets from the road. And it was my way of sort of my field report to keep me sane and tethered to my sane life back home in Canada. And she brought a bunch this morning for me to look at breakfast, and they were so elaborate. I was giving reports about the opening bands, about the cute boys, about the drama, the drugs. It was like these field reports, like a journalist. And what's interesting is that the book, I didn't even actually refer to any of my diaries or my epic photo archive or for those old letters because I remembered it all. And I'm convinced that for people who are curious about memory, because I documented so obsessively, I think that my brain stored it, which is why I believe in analog life, is I don't think we're storing memories the way we used to with this fragmented digital thing. And I credit that analog life of writing letters and in my diary and photographing, which is why I remember the 90s like it was yesterday. I remember everything other than that outfit I was wearing in Vancouver, but mostly I remember.
Now, speaking of faxes, were there really 300 faxes between you and Dave Grohl?
Yes, our epic love affair captured on facsimiles, which I describe in the book as a modern technology that through international telephone wires carbon copied handwritten notes. And so Dave and I wrote each other love letters, but because we were on tour and in love and in a different city every day, we relied on the facsimile version of love letters across the globe. And I am convinced that we have the only archive of that level of 2-year double tour people writing each other faxes. And yes, there's hundreds.
But are there still some out there, like sitting in a club somewhere?
I gathered them all because I'm a pack rat, and no one else is going to have my precious heart but me.
And you and Dave Grohl had some mutual friends in Canada? Like, you know, the Scream Roadie? Like, what were the mutual friends?
Yeah, Barry Tinker Thomas, that we named Tinker after, was the Scream Roadie. He is still one of my dear friends, soulmates. He toured with Scream, and that's how I actually snuck into the Nirvana opening slot at Cow Palace, New Year's Eve, 1991, 1992, when Nirvana were opening up for Red Hot Chili Peppers.
In San Fran, right? You almost got the vintage.
Exactly. The vintage dress that Courtney stole from me before I even knew she and I would be queen rival lovers, whatever we ended up becoming. Barry Tinker Thomas and our mutual Montreal friends is how we snuck into the show. And we said, Dave Grohl knows that we're coming. So Dave and I knew each other before we knew each other.
And Dave liked your choice of lamps? He liked your lamps?
Oh, that's so silly. Yes. I in my memoir, I replicate some of our love letters. And one of the love letters he wrote to me was 100 things I like about you. And I show a snippet of silly things like choice of lamps.
And in 2005, I talked to you on the radio while you were playing Fluvlog. You did an in-store at Fluvlog?
Hilarious, because they made an Auf Der Maur boot that I have somewhere in storage. They custom made, inspired by the bass player from the 90s, the Canadian shoe company, made a Fluvlog Auf Der Maur boot. And we spoke on the radio that day. Yeah, because I was in town. It was around my first solo record.
Like you talked to me all the way to the airport, even getting out of the cab, right to the checkout center.
That is cute. Do we have that on recording?
It's on Nardwuar.com.
Oh, I'm going to go find that. That's so sweet, because how weird that they made a boot. I'd never been to a boot party of mine.
But you were playing too. Where were you playing, or was this the party?
No, you're right. I performed in a shoe store in Vancouver. That is so weird. I don't remember. Thank you for reminding me. I did play. Yeah, I played like alone with a guitar or bass. Yeah.
Melissa Auf Der Maur, do you still have those binders from the Smashing Pumpkins?
Okay,
Could you explain?
You are touching on a touchy subject. The funny thing is, so I don't throw anything away. And one of my prized items from my time in the Pumpkins, which is my tried and true, the armor, like if I were to be given a gold medal for any rock achievement, was I had to join the Smashing Pumpkins and learn their catalog in like 2 seconds and work under the Billy Corgan pretense of bandmaster rules, which is there are 3 rules to this band, Melissa. You cannot make a mistake. There is no days off, and you can't get sick. And learn 150 songs and have a different set list every day. Change of keys, because he had to change for his voice to scream and not lose his voice. So insane. So the only way I could play a show is I created, and I don't read sheet music. I just have a good ear for, I had to interpret and write my own versions of writing songs, which looked like squiggles, 2 squiggles, which meant the rolling part, A, B, C times 2. And I had to play every night with glow-in-the-dark tape on these giant cheat sheets that were, and I can't find them. I'm really upset because I know that I don't, they must be in storage somewhere deep, but I had, yes, hundreds. I kind of wish that I could publish that for Pumpkins fans of Melissa's interpretation of the sheet music of the Pumpkins catalog. I hope I find them.
What do you think about singing bass players?
Coolest. My pride and joy is to join the ranks of Geddy Lee, Phil Lynott, Peter Steele, Lemmy from Motorhead.
And Chris Murphy of
Sloan. You know what? I always forget. I kind of put him and Paul McCartney into another category. I don't know why. I guess it's because they're not as rock. I mean, I love the heaviness of me and a bass and singing and the challenge of that. And those cast of characters, I just, yes, they kind of more tripped out. I need wizards to feel like I'm in the same camp.
Have you seen those Nick Cisnero posts on Instagram? He's a guy.
The ventriloquist type guy who mimics Courtney's. Yeah. He's incredible. He is cool. You should be friends with him. Are you?
Well, could you explain a bit about him?
I mean, I don't even know. So it's not ventriloquist, but he's an performance art. So I am only in the algorithm of the Courtney ones. Maybe he does this for like Cher and other people, but he seems to take wild diva women and find clips of them on YouTube, and he perfectly matches their tone of voice and these scripts in facial expression. So he has done, I don't even know, dozens, if not hundreds, but it pops into my feed and I love him. And I saw that he recently started following me and likes things that I do. He is a brilliant mimic performance artist who honors Courtney's master of her language and wild ways of communicating ahead of her time, witchy things.
And you're in some clips, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think that, and so you see me like always usually rolling my eyes or like looking out into the distance while Courtney's on a wild monologue. Yes. So I feel like because he spent so much time with those clips, that he might indirectly understand me better. Like by studying a Melissa Courtney interview, you learn a lot about those two women.
Melissa Auf Der Maur, your daughter met Olivia Rodrigo?
She did. This is when I get to pull the perks of being a lady from the 90s, is I have begun, my daughter falls in love with music. She didn't even know I made music because I quit music when I became a mother. And when she discovers Billie Eilish, Olivia Rodrigo, and starts following the teen girl sensations of her time, I thought, you know what? I want to get her tickets to that show, and I want to learn about the new generation. So I wrote fan letters to Billie Eilish and to Olivia Rodrigo, a year apart from each other, hoping and asking their managers, can I get tickets to the show? And in both cases, the managers, who probably recognize my, role in women in music, not only gave us tickets to the show, but invited us to meet them. And the Olivia Rodrigo one was my daughter's first concert. So she was 12 years old at Madison Square Gardens. We get great tickets, we get backstage passes, and then we get brought into her meet and greet zone. And she has a really powerful, smart woman manager who's of my Gen X age. So I guess maybe she's very well advised on like what the history of women in rock were. That night, the Breeders were opening for her. And we walk in, and my daughter and her friend like start bawling their eyes out because they're meeting like rock goddess history woman. And I am just sort of the mother behind the two girls crying. And Olivia says to me as she's meeting my daughters, "Thank you so much for paving the way. Without you, this wouldn't have been possible." And my daughter, who I've never I'm an important person in rock. She doesn't even care about 90s music. She's so individuated, not interested in my history. That changed something for her. I think she figured out, how did we get tickets and how do we get back here? And then this woman says that her mother helped her get there. It's the beginning of an exciting chapter of me and my daughter getting to know each other better. She's 14 now, and now I am on the Nardwuar show. Well, take that.
Well, actually, anything else you want to add to the people out there at all?
I love you.
Oh, thank you so much for the kind words.
I mean, I tell people when I explain, do you know about Nardwuar, the human serviette? Michael Moore said he was a national treasure and Canada should be. Have you been awarded the great honors of Canada yet?
I'm so humbled. I have been awarded the Order of Canada. I just can't believe it. I'm so honored.
Incredible, because my mother has too, and I went to the ceremony with her, and I'm very proud of her and very proud of you, because we are proud Canadians.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for all the support all these years. And why should people care about Melissa Auf Der Maur and your brand new book?
Because we have a lot to learn from the past. The last analog decade holds keys to the fabric of being human. The way we lived in the last analog decade made for powerful authentic, unique individuality and artists. And I'm afraid of the digital monotony and influencing people's tastes that they're not able to be as original as we were. And what I am trying to do in my book, it's a love letter to the 90s and the last analog decade, but it's also trying to empower the future to be as honest as that was that time. So it's a book about the past, but it's a gift for the future. And I want to empower weird, cool, alternative freaks and wizards and music makers and artists to just be yourself and do not conform. Do not conform to the algorithm's suggestions of what you should like. Find your own shit and go to record stores and dig, dig, dig like he does. Dig for the treasures. Don't just take what they give you. Do not trust your phones.
Well, thanks very much, Melissa. Keep on rocking in the free world and do.
Yeah. Now we're mimes.